Hello everyone, I am Ms. Saidi Jadhav, Department of Civil Engineering. So in this lecture, we are learning tender documents. When a work is other than a petty work is to be executed, the department or architect prepares the contract document. Both the parties who are entering into the contract should sign on each and every page of the tender document. If the contractor fails to sign above particulars, it may result in dispute. The contract document consists of number of sub-documents which are having cross-reference to each other and they cannot be separated out. So, this is the list of documents, that is your title page, index, tender documents, special documents, form of contract. In Schedule A, there are another one list of documents. These are the main list of documents. The first one is title page, and this is the format for the tender document. Okay, the first one is tender page, title page. The second one is index, then third tender document, fourth special documents, fifth form of contract, sixth one is schedule A, seventh one is schedule B, then eighth one is schedule C, then the specifications, and the 10th one is complete set of drawing. These are the list of tender documents. Okay, so we learn this list of tender documents thoroughly. Okay, so the first one is your title page. So what contains in title page? It contains of the name of work, contract bond number, etc. Okay, the first page of the document which giving the details regarding all the name of the work. Okay, agreement number, then estimated amount put to the tender, etc. Then the second one is index page. Now in this index page showing the contents of documents with their respective page numbers. The third one is tender notice. So in tender notice, inviting the quotations from different contractor is included, which forms an important document. Okay, then in tender notice, the notice gives number of information and conditions pertaining to time of completion, location, earnest money, estimated cost, etc. All these particulars are not given in the condition of contract. Without performing an agreement for all these particulars, the agreement is invalid. Now the fourth one is Schedule A. So in this Schedule A, it's schedule of issues of materials. It's showing details of materials to be supplied by department. The next one is Schedule B. So in this Schedule B, it contains the bill of quantities. The next one is Schedule C. So in Schedule C, the detailed items, items wise specification and drawings are included. So the next one is conditions of contract. So containing the terms and conditions of contract in detailed. Then the next one is special conditions. So in special conditions, depending on the nature of work, taxes, royalties, compensation to labor, etc. A set of well prepared conditions of contract is included. The details regarding the rights and duties of contractor, engineers and departments are given. Then in general specification, it specifies the class and the type of work. In general, the contractor should visit the site of work before submitting the tender. All the writing works in tender should be in ink. The contract should be signed on each and every page. Okay, then electricity required and used by contractor shall be paid by him. All these are the general instruction. Then detailed specification. So in detailed specification, guidelines about the materials, workmanship and measurement, all are writing in that specifications. Okay, these are the clear and detailed descriptive of material, labor and the mode of execution of work. The specifications should be exhaustive. Then the next one is drawing. It is the complete set of drawing. In this, it should include the plans, sections and elevations. Further, working drawings and other detailed drawings may be used from time to time. These drawings are subjected to changes and the contractor has to carry out the work as per the changed drawings. Okay, all these are the list of tender documents. Now the next one is terms are related to tender documents. So the first one is time limit. So in the civil engineering contract specify the period of completion in one of the following methods. That is, the first one is on a given date, second one the number of calendar months and the number of working days. Okay, the time allowed for completion of work includes rainy season also. If the time is essence of the contract, then it should be clearly mentioned. If the work is allotted to the contractor is not commenced or the progress of the work is not proportionate to the time passed, then contractor is liable for penalty of an amount is equal to 1% or such smaller amount per day as superintending engineer decide, the maximum being 10% of the tender amount of the work. Okay, so the delay in completion of the work may be caused by the owner, the contractor or by acts of God. Following are the examples. That is, the first one is bad weather condition, dispute with local authorities or with the owner of adjoining plot, that the materials are not available in time. All these are the acts of God. Okay, that is why the delay in completion of work. So this is your time limit. Now the next one is time extension. Now what is time extension? For the extension of time limit, contractor has to submit an application for extension to the executive engineer, giving all the particulars and reasons for delay and before 1 week of the expiry of time limit. So the executive engineer considers the request and verifies the reason given and may grant an extension on reasonable grounds. So the next one is penalty. Usually time allowed for starting the work shall be started from the 15th day of work order or any date which is specified in the tender. The time specified for the completion of the work is the essence of the contract on the part of contractor. If the allotted work remains incomplete or the progress of the work is not proportioned to the time passed, then the department will impose a penalty of an amount of 1% or any small amount per day as decided by superintending engineer, subject to the maximum of 10% amount of the whole work. Now the next one is subletting of contract. Now subletting means letting out a portion of the main work by the main contractor to subcontractor to carry out the portion of the work. Such a transfer of whole or a portion of work is not permissible unless the owner or a department gives written approval. So in circumstances of sickness, financial difficulties of main contractor, and if the portion of the work is of special nature, then subletting it is desirable. Now the next one is defect liability period. So it is the period during which any defect is is in the work is noticed, then the contractor has to rectify this defect at his cost up to satisfaction of site engineer. So the period is usually first monsoon season or 6 months after the virtual completion of the work, whichever is later. If nothing is mentioned about the period, then defect liability period is taken as 12 months after the date of virtual completion. Even if the engineer in charge has to fail to notice the bad workmanship till the building is completed, still the contractor is responsible for the same till the defect liability period is over. Now the next one is liquidated damage. The liquidated damage is an amount of compensation payable to the owner or department by a contractor due to delay in construction. The damage consists sum of money which will, as far as it is practicable, place the injured party in the same position as if the contract has been performed. The contractor shall pay to the owner or department the sum mentioned in the tender as a liquidated damage for such default and not as a penalty for every day. Liquidated damage has no relation with the actual damage and forms an uncertain figure as compared to actual damage. The next one topic is points are observed by contractor by filling tender. So these are the main points while we filling the tender notice. So the first one is the contractor should study the tender document carefully. The method of preparing tender differs from contractors to contractors. There are no definite method or procedures to be adopted. It depends upon individual skill and experience. However, the following are the general guidelines for preparing tender. The first one is contractor will study the tender documents carefully. The document should consist of all the drawings, specifications and conditions, and the contractor will study all these. Now the next one is the contractor visits the site. After carefully studying the drawing and specification, the contractor visits the site and forecast the conditions under which he has to work, and in return their effects on prices of each items. The contractor will collect the following data during his visit. That is, the first one is locally available materials and their present market rate, then locally available of required labors and their wages, and the types of soil, depth of water table, then access to the site, then availability to the site, then the source of water and its cost. Okay, all are this the contractor should collect information during this visit. Then the next one is the contractor calculates the expenditure to be incurred for unenumerative works such as temporary store, office, approach road and water supply, etc. Okay, then the next one is the contractor works out the probable time period required for completing the work, and this helps him to calculate the establishment charges. When the tender is signed, a check for a deposit is enclosed and put into a sealed cover. After taking all factors into account, he will arrive at the final figure of item to which overhead charges and profit is added proportionately. Okay, so the another one definitions and terms we will see in our next lecture. Okay, thank you.